Hey everyone, and welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today's topic will focus on the current state of YG Entertainment in relatively early 2024 and what they still have going for them. Despite being one of the more influential companies within the K-pop industry, the impact of YG artists just doesn't feel that noticeable anymore. The historical legacy and impact is still there, but that's kind of it. Then, to add to this, the number of YG artists continue to slowly dwindle, and so the plan is to look into the current YG artists to see their overall impact as an artist, but also towards YG the brand. But yeah, before I start, I'd appreciate it if you can like and subscribe to my channel. But without further ado, let's start off with a small recap of 2023. Starting off, I just want to discuss YG Entertainment in 2023, considering this was kind of the catalyst for this video. I won't go in depth in this section, and will just state the notable events that further enhanced this weird feeling about the state of YG. Notable changes included the departure of Top and G-Dragon from YG, leading to all of Big Bang having officially departed from YG. Blackpink, as individual members, would also leave YG. Jexkiss, who technically have no official announced departure, have had their pictures removed from the YG website, and then the final significant departure has been the Black Label. Initially starting off as a subsidiary under YG, the Black Label would slowly reduce down to just an associate company, which it technically is till this day. However, the Black Label have been taking bigger leaps into establishing their own independence through moving their location, which separates their facilities from YG. This leaves 5 groups overall, with technically only 3 groups currently remaining active. The next sections will look further into the 5 groups and my thoughts on their standing under YG Entertainment. The first and most senior group from YG is AKMU, who I wouldn't categorize as the typical K-pop that we know of. Having debuted almost 10 years ago, AKMU still continue to thrive as both digital monsters as well as being well known as the nation's siblings. Of all the groups on the roster, they seem to be doing the best overall currently, despite the lack of overseas attention. Having built up their reputation within Korea, each comeback seems to do numbers to the point where they can be perfectly fine relying on their domestic fan base. Any international reception, like their most recent comeback of Lovely going slightly viral on TikTok, is basically an added bonus. What sets AKMU apart is how YG has marketed them. Their appeal as a duo was their artistry and sibling chemistry during K-pop Star Season 2, and this appeal was focused on from debut to current times. They are the exception and are relatively in control of how they present themselves. I would say they are kinda in their own lane, and so they're pretty much vibing. There also isn't a need to prove themselves, considering how long they've been in the industry and how relatively strong their fan base is. I would almost even compare AKMU and YG to Psy and YG, where they've established themselves so differently that they're almost their own entity, and so despite how well they are doing, it doesn't necessarily translate that much to the impact of YG Entertainment. This section will kind of be short and more of a retrospective look at Winner, just because they're currently one of the groups on hiatus as 2 of the members are in the military at the moment. It won't be till around this December 2024 till the last member of Sunghoon gets discharged, and by that time, Winner will only have 1.5 years with YG before their second contract renewals happen. In the past 4 years, since the pandemic era initially started, we have only seen 1 comeback from the group. Although this is a temporary hindrance for Winner in retaining attention, this current era isn't completely detrimental for them. Considering they're another YG artist approaching their 10th year since debut, they aren't in need to constantly promote. Considering the quick turnover of interest that is felt for current groups, to retain any sizable amount of an audience is a win in itself. Winner has kinda done that with a great domestic fan base, and so it's really a them thing at this point on whether they want to continue as a group or even pivot elsewhere. Based on their music catalog throughout the year, YG seems to have been pretty consistent with Winner up until their military enlistment era, and so there is no definite reason for them to be leaving, but we'll just have to wait and see about their decisions. Once again, another relatively successful group in YG, and with Winner, there is a greater association that people have between them and YG Entertainment. However, the disconnect between their impact and YG seems to be mostly from their greater domestic appeal combined with their current hiatus. This doesn't mean it's not there, it's just more hard to notice.
When we pull up, you know it's a shutdown.
This Blackpink section will also be short, just because this will focus on the group activities, which is currently non-existent at the moment. Despite leaving YG as soloists in December 2023, they have signed to stay on as a group within YG. Blackpink has built up such popularity to be considered one of the main faces of YG, and thus any activities will generate more of a legacy for both themselves and YG Entertainment too. This will all just come down to what has been arranged for them as a group, as YG has lost their bread and butter of capitalizing off their solo activities. But yeah, one easy way to preserve their impact as a company would be to ensure more group activities from Blackpink, which hopefully means more comebacks. The next group and second proper active group within YG is Treasure, who has faced many challenges on their road to debut, having around 2 years since their survival show before they would actually debut. They would debut with lukewarm reception and slowly continue to build momentum. Obviously, things wouldn't go completely smoothly, as we would see mixed reception to some of their releases, members leave, and slight member controversies here and there. Overall, the group seems to be doing well in comparison to the complete competition of K-pop boy groups. However, there seems to be a lack of notoriety in which their name doesn't tend to instinctively get mentioned as one of the top boy groups within the current generation. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like if they do get mentioned, it's more like a participation award type of vibe of being affiliated within YG. In looking at the overall picture of Treasure, they actually seem to follow a similar trend within other YG artists, in that they pivot into their stronger market, which is just not the West. This can be seen with their intended second world tour around Asia. As of recent, they have appeared on their own dating reality show, which has been a pretty unique approach of promoting the members. Despite the idea of dating concepts for a K-pop group, it has seen positive reception from viewers and is a decent catalyst for what hopes to be a comeback coming soon. Finally, we have the most recent group of Baby Monster, who properly debuted as OT7 this April. Probably the group with the biggest hype at the moment under YG. They started getting a bit of recognition in 2020, in which we would hear inklings about this new group. It wouldn't be until 2023 where a survival show would air to show the journey of the 7 members to evaluate their potential of whether they would actually debut. From inception, it seems like Ahyun would be positioned to be one of the standout members, which is why it would be unfortunate when she would have to go on hiatus during what felt like their debut era of Batter Up. One member down, no further promotions, and the reception of the song sounding like the same formula that has been used for Blackpink. It would just start off pretty rocky before the official debut as the full 7 members. Personally for me, their album was real 50-50. Both Batter Up and Sheesh were not my cup of tea, and so the debut was kinda underwhelming. However, I did enjoy Dream and Like That. Even without my opinion, I think I have seen a better reception of Sheesh overall, so it's not a complete bad debut just because of my thoughts. Regardless of the reception, they will still continue to garner more attention. However, I feel like they'll follow a similar route to NMIX, where their company affiliation and their pre-debut content saw the decent positive reception to their debut. Despite not necessarily meeting those same expectations in their actual debut, they're not completely out, and with more promotions to come for their debut and even more eventual releases that hopefully get better, people will start to get Baby Monster, considering the talent is there. Overall, it definitely seems as though Baby Monster is positioned to be a crucial face to further solidifying the legacy of YG Entertainment. And so it's too early to describe their impact, but but as of now, they do have solid footing. Final thoughts. Overall, YG Entertainment is kinda actually not doing the worst. In terms of international interest, particularly towards the West, it is quite lacking and potentially the reason why I think the state of YG is dwindling. However, domestically and even just within Asia, there is way more engagement that explains the retained impact of YG Entertainment. They're also starting to do a bit more things, as we've seen with the recent news of YG holding auditions in collaboration with Avex. This conclusion has really put a positive spin on the future of YG Entertainment. However, I haven't completely covered everything about the company and its issues, like the controversial former CEO of Young Hyun-suk. I mean, from leading YG through the Burning Sun scandal, being involved in multiple drug scandals, the famous management style of really long hiatuses for their artists that has coined the infamous term of YG's dungeon, to being prosecuted and sentenced to prison. YG Entertainment has gone through a lot, and so it's not completely sunshine and rainbows for perpetual success on the future groups. There is still a decent amount of issues that they will need to work on, but the group's popularities don't seem to be one of them. But yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts on the current state of YG, maybe what you think there is needed to help YG return to its former glory, or do you think they're actually doing pretty decent and there's actually nothing to be worried about? But yeah, considering I've done JYP previously, and now that YG is ticked off, that kinda leaves SM as the only big 3 company that I could talk about next. There is an exodus of artists that is kind of happening at the moment, but I think I want to wait for more things to happen before I speak on SM. Besides that, I had 3 groups that I wanted to look at, and coincidentally, they're all under HYBE. 2 of the groups that I wanted to look at about their current success were TWS and Islet, and then the other group was Fromis9, and just their current standing with HYBE, as it feels like they're kind of shunned or ignored compared to all the other HYBE artists. Don't have the strongest ideas in how I'm trying to frame those videos, but if you're interested to hear more, then please like and subscribe to keep up to date, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!